what happened with Flipkart and what happened with the first Big Billion Day was that it was the first time Flipkart was doing the event. It was the first time India was witnessing an event like this because
Absolutely.
there weren't any. So while we put in a lot of science in our forecasting and demand. So thanks for having me over. Um, I started out actually with Airtel, where we were trying to sow the seeds of digitizing India, first through a mobile connection and then through data. But I think the real power of digital marketing, I would say, would be when I first moved to Flipkart, because the business was 100% a digital business, and therefore digital marketing was just not a good to have marketing channel, or as just as one of the things that we wanted to do as part of marketing, but it was the marketing that we did. So I think that's when I saw the real power of digital marketing for the first time.
Right. Would you like to throw some light on your aha moments in your digital marketing journey up till now?
There have been many actually. I think what is the beauty of digital marketing is that it is far more real time and action oriented
Mhm.
than your traditional marketing. So everything that we learn as concepts and frameworks and what we practice as marketing strategy, all of that can be implemented onto digital, and you can get results and actionable insights much faster. So for example, if I have to find out and get some insights on the consumer, or if I even want to do a post campaign measurement through an offline channel, that's a much longer process, because I'll reach out to research agencies, then they will do their own kind of field work which takes whatever number of days, then they will crunch, somebody will transcribe those results, they will crunch those findings, then the presentation will come. So results or insights come with a lag. That is one. And the second is that they are very at a claimed level, what the consumer says, and we know that what we say and what we do is different. The beauty of digital is, a, you can get feedback and measurements and insights much more real time. Second, they are more actionable and closer to truth, because you are not analyzing what a person said, but you are actually looking at what a person did. Where did he go? What did he shop? Did he add to cart? Did he not add to cart? How much time did he watch your particular brand ad? Did he drop off? At what point did he drop off? So it's a much more deterministic data signal, because you're actually seeing what people are doing, and therefore you can be so much more informed with your marketing choices. So those are a couple of my aha moments when it comes to digital.
Absolutely. I think in the traditional marketing we learn in the MBA is generally you're doing the questionnaire, doing the survey with the audience, and that's a long process probably. And over here, we can just go to and create a buyer persona directly, which is quite much easier
Absolutely.
in digital marketing. So good to know that. All right. So what is your greatest achievement so far in digital marketing?
I mean, I have been in businesses, thankfully, where we have grown the business on digital. And everybody, if you look at now the industry as a whole, if you look at now, different industries have different digital maturity curves. When I say digital maturity curve, there is a consumer digital maturity curve, like how comfortable the consumer is on digital channels, not only just to interact with the brands, but actually to make transactions in that particular category. And then there is a digital maturity at the organization's end. How digitalized are their processes, how automated they are, how seamless it is, frictionless it is, etc. I think it's been sheer good fortune and a little bit of a choice that the kind of industries that I worked in, I have always seen the contribution from digital channels, the sales contribution, the business contribution from digital channels actually going up. So Flipkart was 100% digital, so let's leave that aside. But even whether it was Nokia, whether it was the other companies that I worked for, how can you basically shift consumers online and make them transact and do commerce online, and how you can increase that share of business? I think those are those are some of the areas where I've worked very hard over the years, and that's really, I would call, my big achievements.
All right. Is there any case study you like to talk about? I mean, I think probably in Bharti Airtel at that time, the consumers were not much aware about the internet. So is there any moment in Bharti Airtel where you were just shifting them to the online thing to your customers?
Actually, my journey in Bharti Airtel for 7 years, if I was to very broadly break it down, would be in two phases. So
Right.
till about 2010-11, we were trying to increase the mobile phone penetration in India. So it was about creating propositions for every different kind of consumer to have a mobile phone. So what could be a proposition for farmers? What could be a proposition for small NGOs? What could be a proposition for migrant workers, etc. So that was not so much digital marketing, but that is the first step to digital marketing, because if you don't have a mobile, then tomorrow you can't go digital. The second phase was about getting people who are already mobile users, how to shift them to internet. And we did a lot of, I don't have any case studies as such, but we did a lot of work, being the leader brand, and being the leader brands are always responsible for creating the category and for growing the category. So a lot of work on what does it mean when I say I give you 1 GB data? What does it mean when I give 2 GB Mbps speed or anything? So how do you basically simplify technology? How do you create a better experience for the consumer so that you increase their stickiness to mobile internet? So a lot of work. We launched 4G. um, we simplified a lot on the 3G. I mean, we started with 3G, then we moved to 4G. So the entire launch of that, how do we get people to move to broadband, which was a faster way of, that was also the era where we were changing from dial-up connections to the broadband. So how do we get people to do, there used to be data dongles, how do we get people to dongles and then to broadband connections? So a lot of work happened on that front. Again, I'll say it's very easy to do marketing campaigns and to win awards, and I've won several. But the beauty is if you can really make a business transition, if you can get more business and generate more business for your organization through digital efforts and get the business to digitalize, those are the real case studies actually.
Absolutely. So probably I can say when you started with Airtel, it was mixed of a traditional marketing along with the digital part. But the moment you shifted to Flipkart, and how was that experience when you move completely to e-commerce? And it was in India a very new kind of thing that people was not ready to buy things online. Then the Flipkart comes into the picture and everything changes. And now we have everything in our quick button. We just click on it and it's coming to us. So a shift from a traditional and a digital to completely in digital. What was your experience that time?
See, so there are two aspects to it. One is that Flipkart, again, being the market leader, was trying to create the category and trying to get people to shop online. So that is a change in habit and how we shop. And we are very used to touch and feel and haggle with the shopkeeper in some category, for some categories at least, do a lot of competitive research and then buy. Now you want to shift that entire shopping, which is a very sensory touch and feel personalized experience, to a more standardized on the internet experience. So
Mhm.
that involved actually taking your classical marketing thinking, which is what I even practiced in Airtel, because the task was the same. We were still getting people to own a mobile phone, leave out their landlines, or even the landline coverage was not even that much, right? From one landline a household to every mobile in a pocket is again a behavior shift that you're trying to do. So from that aspect, it was very similar. It was the same problem. You're still trying to create the category. You're still trying to get people to adopt to a new technology, but it's slightly in a different context. So all classical marketing frameworks, principles, learning actually worked for me there. The the advantage or the aha moment, like we were talking about it earlier, was to see that there is a much better, different and faster way of getting consumer insights, feedback, etc. When you are in a when your consumer goes digital, when a consumer is coming and you have a lot of traffic where people are leaving behind a lot of signals on your website or on your mobile app, and analyzing that consumer behavior to get really actionable insights, that maybe people are coming but they are not shopping, or maybe they're looking at three products. What is their at the time that they spent on the platform? What are the products? What's a typical consumer journey like? I think those were very, very new things for me. And as was getting feedback very, very quickly. So I remember in that year 2014 we launched Big Billion Day. That was the first year of Big Billion Day, and it was completely messed up, but because technology broke. But when you are doing an online sale event, we did literally created these war rooms where you could actually had these mega projectors in big conference rooms, and you were literally tracking how the business is moving by the second. It's a real life, like there's a stock market exchange, it's a real life view of what's happening. So you can immediately see what's working, what's not working, how the consumers responding, what's broken, what's not broken. I think that was a very big shift for me, and that is where I like really caught on to this thing. I mean, this is actually, the future is here, and this is how businesses will be run in the future. So that was a very exciting piece for me.
Absolutely. From your answer, I just came across that big billion when it was introduced. I was probably in college that time, and I still remember it was a very huge thing that everything was coming like almost half of the price it was listed earlier. So as a marketer, I do like to understand how when you said it was a messed up kind of situation, how as a marketer or digital marketer you face that challenge, because right now even if I'm running a campaign and there's something goes wrong, I start panicking that what was the algorithm? Is there something required in my description? What do I need to change? So how as a marketer you deal with such issues or challenges when it comes to a digital phase or in the e-commerce thing when you're working with Flipkart?
See, what happened with Flipkart and what happened with the first Big Billion Day was that it was the first time Flipkart was doing the event. It was the first time India was witnessing an event like this, because
Absolutely.
there weren't any. So, while we put in a lot of science in our forecasting and demand planning, I think on the day of the sale, with all the marketing that we had done, we never expected so much traffic to come in. So the servers broke and the website broke, and therefore, because the servers were not provisioned to take the kind of traffic that came in, it came at 6x number of what we had planned with our best estimate. So that was one problem. The other problem was, whatever we had looked at the BAU numbers and whatever projections we had done with all the science that we had of projecting and forecasting, even there our projections fell short of what the demand was, far more, because the deals were so good that
Mm.
we estimated a particular demand level, but it was far more than what it was. So a lot of SKUs ran out of stock within a couple of minutes of launching, etc. So, and but that is true with, frankly, that is true with any new thing that you do. You generally pilot in a smaller market, and then you take learnings, and then you expand. But when you're doing something on digital, and for a digital business, you can't pilot. I can't do a Big Billion Day sale only for Delhi, right? It has
Right.
to be pan India, because internet is democratized. So we took it as a pinch of salt, and we took it as a test phase, and those learnings then went into creating many other successful Big Billion Day campaigns and events in the succeeding years. So the first one is always a little bit of, and things can go wrong, but I think the fact that you can very real time get the data that it's going wrong or something is getting broken, and you can do crisis management almost in real time, I think that's the beauty of digital. That's what we kind of do when something like this happens.
What do you think, according to you, is the best required thing in the conventional marketing still going on?
See, it depends. Marketing digital, the way after all of these years, the way I look at it is, digital is just another channel for marketing. It is not a replacement for conventional marketing. Marketing is far more strategic in nature, and everything that you do, from building consumer understanding to developing a marketing strategy, doing test markets, doing demand planning, pricing, etc. Marketing is huge when it comes to that, right? It basically is a growth engine for many businesses, those which are marketing led or and demand led businesses. Digital marketing is a way of doing marketing, and therefore it sits alongside conventional marketing. Now, there are some industries which are way ahead in their digital maturity, because the consumer is also mature and the industry has also matured. So, for example, mobile phones is one such industry,
Mhm.
because if you look at it from an e-commerce perspective, they get 50% of their revenue overall from this category. If you look at flip it, and if you look at the industry also gets 30 to 40% business from online channels. So it's a fairly matured industry. If you look at some other industry, let's say tires or auto parts. That's a fairly offline industry because it's people are not comfortable in buying auto products or tires and seat covers, etc., online. So different industries are at a different maturity curve. But I think what is going to happen is that because the consumer is moving and and is mobile first now, uh, whether we like it or not, sooner or later all industries will have to shift to a hybrid model of doing business. So not only will marketing be hybrid, but even doing business will be hybrid, which means a mix of an offline and an online channel. And that's the shift that will happen. Every industry will have a different time frame when they will make that move, depending on where they are in their maturity curve.
But do you think digital marketing is going to that shift sooner or later?
Absolutely. So if you look at how digital marketing as a function has matured, or how consumer behavior on digital has matured, there was a time when we just went on to the internet to get news, or it was very limited. The experience was not good. The speed was not there. The kind of content that you could consume on digital was also limited. And from that phase we moved to a phase where more and more things started becoming digital. Entertainment became digital. News was, in any case, the first to become digital. Connections, not only social media, but even
Mhm.
one-on-one connections with messaging apps, etc., became digital. And if you look at the transaction journey, we started out when like people who are willing to pay money through using a mobile phone or through a digital connection. I think most of us started with just ticket booking, airline ticket booking, movie ticket booking, utility bill payments, and from that we've now matured to a place where even when we want to go out for a smoke, we pay the pan wala through a QR code, right, by
Bill
scanning the
payments,
QR
right?
code. So industry as a whole is maturing, and there are two aspects to it. One is how much time the consumer is spending on digital and what he or she is willing to do, but also what how much they are transacting through digital medium. So we're slowly moving towards a more hybrid and then probably a cash free, cashless economy. If you go to any of the Western markets, you don't need cash at all, whether you are riding the tube or you are taking a taxi or you're paying for a coffee. Nobody pays by cash at all. And slowly, at least the urban India and the metros are moving to that direction. With the whole demonetization wave that happened, I think the QR code and digital payments actually traveled much faster, much deeper, much wider. So this is a wave that has already started. And again, consumers are learning, evolving, spending more and more time online, spending more and more money online. So it's here to stay and it's here to evolve. So I don't see it going anywhere. Having said that, I also don't see conventional channels going away anywhere. I think it is going to be a hybrid setup. Uh, and it's going to be maximum choice for the consumer. So no matter how you want to reach out to a business, no matter how you want to interact with a brand, I think there'll be multiple touch points available to the consumer, and they can decide what they want to do and who do they want to talk to at what time through what medium.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I would like to say that digital marketing should stay because there are a lot of people who are upskilling nowadays in digital marketing. I've seen brand managers, I've seen people who have already into traditional marketing for a long time. Now they are coming up with digital things. So that is something which I know as a marketer, as a somebody who has just done their marketing, an MBA in marketing, they would like to now get into digital marketing just to understand this aspect as well, because understanding both the channels and using it for your advantage on digital channels are actually helping you a lot. All right. Okay. So, Aditi, coming to your next question, how do you think digital marketing for B2B is different from digital marketing for B2C?
Say again, I think the technology, the framework, the approach is pretty much the principles, and the logic remains the same. But depending on who your consumer is, how big your target consumer segment is, your actual plan or your strategies change. So, in terms of B2B, because mostly B2B marketing involves higher ticket size largely than a B2C marketing. B2C marketing typically, for most cases, operates on the principle of economies of scale. So average ticket price is low, but the number of wallets is high, and therefore your digital marketing, you're making your strategy to reach people at scale. So you because the contribution will be little, but the magic happens when a lot of people start transacting with your business. So you look for channels, you look for approaches where you get scale, where you get a lot of people are there, and therefore typically digital media publishers who have a lot of scale, and there are 3 or 4 which have the maximum scale, they become very important in your media strategy. On the other hand is B2B, where it's a small pool of highly qualified leads or clients, but very high ticket size. So you don't have to go after the masses, but you need to get, like, you go after quality rather than quantity, because there isn't those many paying consumers or those many ticket size. So therefore digital marketing becomes a lot more filtered. So you probably wouldn't go for very mass channels, because you're going after very, very targeted audience and very, very well defined audience. Also it will have like a mix of, I think, content and the amount of effort that you need to put into content increases a lot when you are a B2B marketer, because you imagine you have an offering for the CFOs of companies or CHROs of the companies or IT managers of a company. They are specialized and experts in their field. You're talking to CXO level people who will possibly buy a particular solution and implement it in their organization. So your content needs to be top notch, because media targeting is just one part of the puzzle, but what will basically convert it will be the content. So it needs to be that much more specialized, that needs to be that much more personalized. You can't give the same content to different sectors, because it needs to reflect what they need and what their sector demands, etc., requirements are. So content plays a much larger role when you're going after B2B market. Media selection is very, very choiceful. In B2C, it's more about doing a lot of creatives, but really making them very simple so that everybody can understand, and really going after scale. That would be largely the approach difference between the two.
Can I say
Other
that conventional is still relevant for the B2B? Much more relevant than B2C. Can I say that?
I don't think so, because even in B2C, when the reason why television and print and outdoors make sense for a B2C segment is because you want to reach out to consumers at scale. And sometimes the message that you want to give out is not personalized, it is the same message for everybody. And therefore, a lot of B2C marketeers do invest in sporting events, on television advertising, etc. In the contrast, B2B again will be very choiceful of the conventional methods that they use. So for example, events become extremely important for the B2B segment, depending on which category, because that's where you can touch and feel the roundtable conferences that you want to do, award functions that you want to do, case studies that you want to do, panel discussions. So events, and that's the touch and feel. Newspapers become important, especially the business dailies, if you are talking to that audience.
Right.
So some channels become important, but again, the approaches are slightly different from B2C versus B2B.
According to you, what are the 3 mistakes committed by the organization nowadays when it's coming to leveraging digital marketing?
Okay, I think the biggest mistake by far, most important than any other mistake, because everything else can be rectified, is that organizations invest a lot in tech, which is absolutely important, but they don't invest enough in trainings, which is why it fails. So a lot of organizations, because we are making that transition from a completely offline way of working to a hybrid way of doing business, it's the people who make the tech and the advantages of the tech come alive. If you don't train your people, and if you don't work on changing their mindset to leverage the advantages of technology, then any technology solution that you implement is going to fail. So for example, I'll give you an example to illustrate what I'm saying. We were working when I was with Nokia. We knew that the consumer, I was mentioning earlier that 50% of the contribution to business comes from online channels. And the consumer, everybody, I mean 90% of people today who are looking for a mobile phone will log on to the internet to read competitive reviews, to see YouTuber channels, to read up about products before they end up buying a mobile phone. So we know that the consumer is getting influenced by digital. We also know that digital is significant contributor to the overall business contribution in terms of business contribution. um, and therefore we were spending a lot of money on digital channels because we thought that was the most effective way of reaching the consumers and influencing them to buy our phones. Um, and in that, what we wanted to do was that we wanted to illustrate it to the sales team as well, that digital is just not a vanity marketing channel, but digital actually leads to conversion as well, even if it is in your on offline store. So today a consumer can buy a mobile phone through an offline store, through your own website, through an e-commerce platform, wherever they want. But it's just not that you're doing digital marketing to drive traffic to an Amazon or a Flipkart or to your own store, but you can also drive traffic to a store, a multi-brand retail outlet that stocks you, that stocks competition. And for that, we implemented a very expensive technology solution where everybody who was exposed to any brand communication on digital, we could track that consumer from the time that that person saw our ad to the time that person landed in a store and actually did a purchase. So we mapped that whole journey, and you know that somebody who saw the ad after 5 exposures of the ad and in 25 days actually landed up at a store and bought the phone. So your journey is complete. You know that those 5 impressions have not been wasted, but you've actually led those people to buy something. But to implement those solutions, you need to partner with the sales team, because we will send the consumer to the store, but finally, whether the consumer ended up buying or not is not where the marketing team is sitting. That's the data that the sales team needs to give. Till the time the sales team does not understand and appreciate the consumer journey and understand that somebody who's walking in has seen 5 exposures of the ad and is a very informed consumer, and therefore I need to close the loop and also signal it back to the marketing team whether this particular approach is working or not, or what's the conversion, we can never optimize and we can never make it work better. So a lot of technologies fail, a lot of solutions fail because the people who are supposed to you are supposed to partner with to bring those to life don't actually adopt, or they don't understand those particular techniques. So that is the number one thing, that you have to train. And behavior change is always harder than implementing technology, but once you're implementing technology, you also need to start trainings. You also need to constantly do a mindset shift. Otherwise, the most expensive technological solution can fail if people do not adapt to it. So that's the number one mistake, I will say. The second is that often marketing teams expect, I mean, there is a reason why digital is a test and learn model, right? You start small and you take the learnings and then you scale up. Sometimes teams or marketing teams don't have the time to test and learn, and you just don't do a pilot and you just put a full-fledged campaign, and then you don't bake in the time for the campaign to mature and the learnings to come in and then scale. So you don't see the ROI that you are seeing. So that, I would say, is the second mistake. You have to test and learn. That is the basic building block for digital. You can't just put in all the money and then hope for something to come in. I think broadly those two, and if those two can get addressed, then a lot of other stuff can actually start falling into place.
Just like we need to A/B test. Any third mistake you think?
Any third mistake? I think a lot of times marketers get caught up in media KPIs. So media KPIs always look very fantastic. So
Right.
no matter whatever is the CTR or the VTR or the reach that the publisher has promised, they always under promise and over deliver
Right.
across categories. I have seen that, so that is not a surprise. And a lot of the times we just get very happy saying, oh, we got 1 million views, oh, we got 4 lakh clicks, etc. But that's a very vanity metric. What you need to see is really double down on that KPI. So if there were X number of clicks, what was the visits and what was the conversion? A lot of the times we don't look at that and just stop at a media KPI versus translating that media KPI into a marketing KPI. So you look at 1 million views and you become very happy, but you don't break down and say that, out of those 1 million views, 50% views were 3-second views or 5-second views. So basically your marketing message has not reached out to 1 million people, but let's say 250K people. Though I think that kind of double clicking on media KPIs and making them actually marketing KPIs or business KPIs, I think that's the journey that a lot of marketers don't take.
Right. I mean, I do agree with you that A/B testing is something which probably every marketer needs to do. And I think the first thing I do, my curious self wanted to know that technology. What was that technology? Uh, I'm really sorry. I think just give me a moment. It's a Christmas, so I think they are celebrating. I think you can hear the noise. Give me a moment.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm really sorry, Aditi.
No problem.
I think they already started. It's a lunchtime, so today we are
Okay.
celebrating Christmas today. So
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. So I just wanted to know the technology you're talking about, so where you were tracking people. Right now, I think when it comes to marketing, we just generally track basis on my Metapixel or could be my Google Analytics, where I do this remarketing stuff to capture them again. What was the technology? Do you like to share something?
We had tied up with there were two technologies at play. We had tied up with LifeSite, which is a technology player that helps you do that, and we had also tied up with InMobi. So LifeSite, we were embedding a LifeSite pixel on every digital ad, which was at some places it was at an impression level, at some places it was at a click level, but we were embedding that pixel, which helped us to track the journey. And InMobi helped us because they were then a lot of it was implemented through the InMobi, the platform and the channels that they have. And then we did a geofencing of our stores where we were driving traffic. And so once somebody actually interacted with the ad, and that pixel was embedded, and when that device ID was then tracked within the GPS coordinates of the store, that is when we knew that this person who saw the ad 45 days back and after 5 interactions has landed in the store. So that's how we completed the journey.
Okay. All right. So digital marketers, us like we completely rely on Meta Pixels or our Google Analytics to give us the data. But good to know that there's something which there's something which we can do even after that as well. So, all right. So probably I
There are
think
actually a lot of case studies now. We were the first ones to pilot in 2020, but after, and that was a new offering which they piloted with us. But now there are a lot of such. I mean, they've scaled up, and there are other players also who help you do that.
okay.
So it's possible now.
Good to know that's something which is I really learned. That's a new thing for me. All right. So what's your favorite marketing channel or technique you would like to talk about? Is there any channel you think that's one thing where I generally grade good people, good audience, and my way of marketing is something which I completely rely on. So for me, just an example, I am somebody who's able to market on Instagram much better compared to any other channel, and probably because my audience completely sit over there. I mean, they completely take their time on Instagram and spend a lot of time over there. So whenever I create my buyer persona, I came across that this is my audience, which is somewhere around 22 to 28-year-old people, and they completely sit on the Instagram. So is there any marketing channel you think that's my most apt channel I like to
So
market?
you actually you just answer that question yourself, because actually your favorite channel is the one where your consumer is. And
Absolutely.
again, I've been with brands which are scale brands, B2C scale brands. So we get scale through Google, we get scale through Meta. So you cannot, any marketing strategy, if you're B2C and with scale, you cannot ignore. Also, if you look at where people spend their time, then social networking and video consumption, OTT, are the biggest channels any which ways. And third is search, because that's really the bottom funnel which is driving conversion. So I mean, my Google and Meta, Google, which includes search, as well as YouTube,
Display.
and Meta, which is basically Instagram, because nobody's on Facebook now. So those are my favorite channels, if you want to call it that. Display campaigns, I'm not a fan of display campaigns at all, because I think a lot of the clicks are accidental, because we are all seeing on 6-inch screens, and they actually, the way most of the publishers put up display campaigns, they're very bad consumer experience, because you're trying to read something and suddenly something opens up, and most of the times you can't even cancel it. You want to block that ad, but you end up clicking on that ad. So I am not a big fan of display advertising at all, but the others, I think, are better. They're more consumer friendly.
Right, right. Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree with you. They are more consumer friendly. They are not blocking you. They're actually uh, it takes up the whole space, and you end up clicking on it. I agree with you. Well, pause my display campaigns right away.
No, I mean, there is a place for the display campaigns and the overall marketing this thing, but just from a consumer point of view.
It's
I'm
just
just saying
kidding. I
it's,
just,
yeah.
just learning something from a marketing leader. I would like to pause my display campaign, but do like to control my display campaign basis on where my audience is mostly going on to. I mean, probably if I'm selling digital marketing course, I would like to showcase my display campaigns on website, which is talking about digital marketing courses. So that's how I completely go with my campaigns. And overall, I know there's a lot of irrelevant leads I came across. But yes, sometimes there are few which I was able to convert, and I use generally for the remarketing purposes.
I actually also like push notifications a lot.
Yeah, right.
I because they are very personalized. They are non-intrusive, and I think just the way they come up when you are least thinking of that particular brand, I think push notification is a very, very powerful marketing channel, and some
Right.
brands are leveraging them
I
very
think
well.
absolutely nowadays every app has this push notification. I think probably there's something which I generally came across as Mantra, and it comes with a bell nowadays. And there's something which
Yeah.
just keep on coming on, and you're sitting in a meeting, and all of a sudden you hear a bell, and you just came across that this is Mantra. So yeah, I think I agree with you. Push notification, something which creates a good impact. All right. So, why do you think most of the marketers nowadays bet heavily on online advertising as the part of digital marketing strategy? And do you think that there are resource allocation, including budget distribution between online ads and SEO, or you can say organic thing, are justified?
See, again, I think we are moving to a more hybrid world, and consumers are spending more and more time on their mobile phones and on the internet. Everything is on the internet today. And for everything, we have apps. So, businesses that are not digital, even if you're not selling on digital, but still your consumer is on digital. So digital marketing spends are only be going up. They have been growing steadily. In fact, the recent report from Dentsu, which is one of the media houses in the country,
Mhm.
states that next year, 40% of the advertising spend in India will be digital. And that's the first time it is overtaking TV advertising spends. They're growing at 32%, and they're going to overtake TV advertising spends. In most of the Western countries, as well as in the Eastern countries like China, digital advertising has already overgrown conventional ad spend. So this is in any case growing and will grow even further. Um, in terms of SEO versus paid media marketing, again, it depends on what's the nature of business, and whether you even have a website or not, for which you need to do SEO and rank higher in the results or not. Because a lot of small businesses today would probably have a Google My Business account, would probably have a digital presence in terms of Instagram and Facebook, and they may not even have a website, or they may not be giving any service on the website. So for them, it's a huge investment to build a website and then invest in SEO, versus someone else where website is the bread and butter of that business. So it depends. A lot of companies don't invest that much in SEO and website development. For example, very recent example is that of Coke, because we don't expect anybody to go to a Coke website to order a drink, or to interact with the brand, or to find out more about the brand. So that we find consumers on social media, we find consumers interacting with us on YouTube, we find consumers interacting with us on all the other channels. And therefore, if you go and look at a Coke website today, you will find it not state of the art, I would say, because that's not where the consumers are going to interact with the brand. And therefore, the investment into website development, capabilities, what the website can hold and what not, as well as SEO, is very little as compared to what the company would invest in digital marketing, otherwise digital marketing channels like influencers, content creators, social media marketing, etc. So again, it has to be aligned to your business strategy, and where your consumer is, how much money you want to split between the two.
Right. So, just from your answer, I like to say, if a brand like Coca-Cola or Coke is launching in today's world, it's not been known by anyone. What do you think? They will be completely going with the offline things or the e-commerce? What exactly will be a favorable situation for brand like a Coke if they are launching now?
If they are launching now, the
I
see
mean,
the
in this era, the
yeah,
online element.
see the problem with low price point products, consumable products, is that the unit economics for e-commerce does not justify itself. So to order a, like, I can order one Coke which is at 10 rupees, but to deliver that Coke to me, that business will be spending a lot more in delivering that 10 rupee bottle. So the unit economics doesn't fit in. It's a loss making business. Therefore, what you do is you try and do multi packs, you try and do bigger sizes, right? You'll try to do a 2.5 liter bottle, you will try to do 6 cans ka multi pack, etc., because there your average selling price increases, and therefore the unit economics falls into place. But the consumers don't always necessarily want to, forget Coke, but any soft drink, you don't necessarily want to stock up a soft drink and only consume it at home. In fact, pre-COVID, 90% of soft drink consumption used to happen outside home and in the summer months. So if you are only available on e-commerce, then how do you service that consumer who's feeling thirsty at 12 o'clock sitting in his or her college canteen? So you need to be present offline, because that's where those are your consumption occasions. So irrespective of which era you are launching, I don't think the any soft drink brand can completely avoid being in the offline world and completely be drive business through the digital world. That's not possible.
So, do you recommend that the freshers should consider digital marketing for building their career today?
Absolutely. If people are interested in building a career in sales and marketing, then everybody, and I'm including sales very, very deliberately here, because that's the way businesses will sell in the future, and more contribution is going to come from digital. And that is why it's just not for marketeers, but even for people who want to build their careers in sales. Anybody who wants to build and have a successful career in sales and marketing needs to have understand digital marketing and needs to build that capability, because all roles are going to be hybrid going forward. We are seeing that already, where even traditional sales teams need to go through extensive digital trainings to understand consumer behavior and how to sell, because that's where the consumer is. And you, as a business, you have to be where the consumer is and you have to cater to the consumer. So everybody needs to, and especially sales and marketing, needs to have a very, very good understanding of digital marketing. So it's a must do for those starting out.
Okay. So, if you wanted to hire somebody, what is the top skill you will look for apart from the technical skill like SEO or SEM?
I think the top skill that I look for, two top skills actually. One is consumer centricity, because again, a lot of the times the classic uh, pitfall that digital marketers fall into is that they get too caught up in technology and in media KPIs. They lose sight of the consumer. And digital marketing is not just about buying some media and putting out your ads. It's also about the consumer journey. And for that, you need to understand how the consumer will go through, and what are the different, how does the consumer pass through that funnel of awareness to conversion. So you need to understand the consumer. So consumer centricity, very important. And the second, I would say, is again, probably linked to this, but understanding the business. If you don't understand how the business is being run, then you can never propose solutions or ideas on digital that achieve that business objective. So understanding of business and understanding of consumer, which by the way are two things that even all marketers need to have. So that is why not very different, but consumer understanding, business understanding, very, very critical for anybody I mean,
I
I
think
look at those two things while
in
hiring.
that case, most of the courses should include case studies of how to build a business, because that's something which I think in India or in our studies we completely lacks this, that how a business is built. I mean, if I talk about whatever I learned, I learned everything with the experience itself, not in the schools or colleges where you are taught exactly how a business should be run. So when you go into a working situation, then only you came across these situations. So probably for a fresher, I think would like to say that we would like to include in our digital marketing course, we would like to include some case studies of how a business is created, how it's built, and not just building, how it evolved.
uh, yeah, I think more like how's the business being run versus being created or evolved. So for example, let's say somebody joins on a as a digital marketeer in, let's say, Fab India, for Fab India. Now, Fab India is getting a good contribution of their business from their digital channels and from their website, but the bulk of the business is through retail stores. And the beauty is how you can, again, the consumer is online, but your stores are offline. So maybe 85%, 95% businesses coming from retail stores, and but 100% of consumers are digital. So how do you understand what's happening at a retail store and how the business is being built and how the sales is happening, and therefore can you make a consumer journey which takes a consumer from starting from a digital channel to ending up in a store or on the website and ending up buying. So if you don't understand how people shop for fashion, forget everything else. If you don't understand how people shop for apparel, let's not say fashion, but how people shop for apparels, and what is Fab India's proposition which draws people into their stores, then you can't implement. I mean, what will you implement if you don't understand these two things? So very important to understand the business side of things.
Got it. Okay, so I think we already talked about this question, but how do you think digital marketing will evolve in the future? And is there any top trend you see in 2023 for digital marketing?
See, I think all platforms are building newer capabilities and generally evolving to give a more frictionless experience to the consumer. So we started out with a phase uh, where even on Google, it was it what you did on YouTube and what you did on what a consumer did on search was very disjointed, and now they've stitched it together. So if I see a video on YouTube and if I search the same thing on Google search, or if I search something on Google, then my recommendations of video on YouTube are linked, because they are also trying to build the single view of the consumer. So reducing friction in consumer journey and giving a very seamless experience to the consumers, that is what large publishers are in any case working on. So that is good. One thing that I like to see, and which is what I miss on digital marketing today, is that all of these big publishers who have lots of traffic are walled gardens. So Google and Meta and an Amazon, let's say, don't talk to each other. I cannot have a single view of the consumer between Amazon, Google, and Meta, because they will not share data. So I have to run individual consumer journeys on these platforms. So while I can completely figure out how a person moved on the Google ecosystem and how they moved on the Meta ecosystem and how they moved in the Amazon ecosystem, I'm counting it as three consumer journeys. I'm not getting a very holistic view. It may be the same consumer who first searched, then went on Amazon, then came back, went on Facebook, then consumed some Instagram or reel on Instagram, then again went back and saw a video on YouTube. That holistic consumer journey is not available today, as is not any data sharing, and therefore you don't get a singular reach number for digital. Like on television, because it's all controlled by bark, or on radio you get one single number of reach of where your campaign, because all channels are tied to one particular
Right.
broadcaster.
Right.
Here you don't. So what we there is duplicity when we count reach, therefore we look at gross reach. You can never find out unique reach of your campaigns. They don't talk to each other, so you can't build a singular view. I think those are some of the things that it'll be great if we can reach that level of transparency in digital marketing.
So transparency is something which you're looking for. Great. Okay. So next question is, I think probably you will add more. If you were given the power to make one change into digital marketing industry today, what would that be?
I think that would be this that I spoke about actually. I would love to the platforms to share data amongst themselves so that uh, we can we can give better experience to the consumer, and we can we can devise better marketing strategies. Again, it's very disjointed right now, and and the funnel or the consumer journey breaks the moment somebody goes from Facebook to an Amazon. The journey breaks. So I don't know the traffic that I sent to Amazon, what did the people actually finally did. I'll get one journey from Amazon because they are my partner, and I'll get one journey from Facebook, but I don't marry and get one singular consumer journey. So there are some gaps and there are some dark areas which it will be great for that seamlessness to happen, because that will then elevate the game for everybody.
All right. Good to know that. Okay. Would you like to share a few words about digital marketing education we are imparting at Digital Vidya?
Okay, so here I don't have too much because I've never experienced that. But I think a while back I was looking at the modules, because some of one of my I wanted to basically guide my team, and some of them were traditional marketeers. I wanted to guide them and tell them to take up some digital marketing courses. And that at that point in time, I went through a couple of digital marketing courses being conducted by various organizations. I thought that the course that is being taught at Digital Vidya was the curriculum was very comprehensive. I think the teaching methodology is also very good because, if I'm not wrong, it's a mix, right, for of online and
Right.
classes
Right.
and online. So I thought, again, I'm not a very big fan of completely online courses, because you do need that touch and feel and practical aspect, and classroom learning is definitely has some advantages over online learning, but everybody cannot be in the classroom all the time, so hybrid works the best. So I think in terms of teaching methodology, in terms of course curriculum, I think it's very good, what I have seen firsthand.
Great. Good to know that, Aditi. Thank you so much. I think we're done with our questions. Anything you would like to share with our viewers? Uh,
No, I think we're fairly well covered.
all right. Thank you so much, Aditi, for giving your time. And it was great learning new things from you. I mean, it's probably something which every marketers, it will be, this interview will be a great learning thing for every one of us. And it was also a great experience understanding things from you. I just knew some new things today from you. We'll
Thank
probably
you.
go and check that out after this interview. Thank you so
Okay,
much, Aditi.
thank you, see you, bye.
Bye bye.